Peace, 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 peace. I would like to start off by saying love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Good evening and happy holy day. This is Noble Brian Hicks Bay, minister of the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. And this evening, I will be a curator for our book club reading tonight. In the book we will be coming from, and we have it for study if you do not have it at www.mypdfbooks.com, and that's books with a Z. The book we will be using in particular is the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And me in particular, I have notated certain parts of the book that deal with economy, community, and social duties. And also, with it being Friday evening, we have a feature presentation or a feature film for you all at the end of the reading. So we will get right into that without further ado. But before we do, let's do our Moorish American prayer. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation by night and by day. Through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Shalom Alakim, Ayash Ayah, Hotel, Islam, Amen. Peace, 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 peace. Okay, so without further ado, let me do this for you. Pull up this document so you can read along with me. And in the Moorish Quran, we will be starting with the chapter, A Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. And before we do start, I have provided a nugget with, a definition to help you better understand covenant if you already don't have that understanding or overstanding for yourself. And getting into the etymological understanding of covenant, it reads, a mutual compact to do or not do something, a contract, an agreement, a pact or promise. Also, keep in mind, in law, it is a promise made by deed. So let's continue. Let's read. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Now that was beautiful. Now continuing to the chapter entitled Holy Unity, the Holy Instruction of Unity. Pardon me. The gifts of understanding are the treasures of Allah, and he appointed to everyone his portion, in what measure seemeth good unto himself. Hath he endowed thee with wisdom? Hath he enlightened thy mind with knowledge of truth, communicated to the ignorant for their instruction, communicated to the wise for thine own improvement? But the wise man cultivates his mind with knowledge, The improvement of the arts is his delight, and their utility to the public crowneth him with honor. Nevertheless, the attainment of virtue he accounted as the highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life. Equally beautiful, if you ask me. Continuing to the chapter, which is titled The Holy Unity of the Rich and the Poor. The man to whom Allah, which is God, hath given riches and blessed with a mind to employ them aright, is peculiarly favored and highly distinguished. He looketh on his wealth with pleasure, because it affordeth him the means to do good. He protecteth the poor that are injured. He suffereth not the mighty to oppress the weak. He seeketh out objects of compassion. He inquireth into their wants. He relieveth them with judgments and without ostentation. He assists and rewards merit. He encouraged ingenuity and liberally promote every useful design. He carrieth his own great works. His country is enriched, and the labor is employed. He forth new schemes, and the arts receive improvement. He considers the superfluities of his table as belonging to the poor of his neighborhood, and he defraudeth them not. The benevolence of his mind is not checked by his fortune. He rejoices, therefore, in riches, and his joy is blameless. But woe unto him that heapeth up wealth in abundance, and rejoiceth alone in the possession thereof, that grindeth the face of the poor, considereth not the sweat of their brows. He driveth on oppression without feeling. The ruin of his brother disturbeth him not. The tears of an orphan he drinketh as milk. The cries of the widow are music to his ear. The heart is hardened with the love of wealth. No grief or distress can make an impression upon it. But the curse of iniquity pursueth him. He liveth in continual fear. The anxiety of his mind and the rapacious desires of his own soul take vengeance upon him for the calamities he has brought upon others. Oh, what are the miseries of the poverty in comparison with the gnawings of this man's heart? Let the poor man comfort himself. Yes, rejoice, for he hath many reasons. He sitteth down to his morsel in peace. His table is not crowded with the flatterers and devourers. He is not embarrassed with the train of dependents, nor teased by the clamors of solicitations. Debarred from the dainties of the rich, he escapeth also their diseases. The bread that he eateth, is it not so sweet to his taste? The water he drinketh, is it not to please his thirst? Yeah, far more delicious water than the richest of draughts of the luxurious. His labor preserveth his health, and produce him a repose to which the downy bled bed of sloth is a stranger. He limiteth his desires with humility, and the calm of contentment is sweeter to his soul than all the acquirements of wealth and grandeur. Let not the rich, therefore, presume on his riches, nor the poor in his poverty yield to despondence. The providence of Allah, which is God, dispenses happiness to them both. Still beautiful. especially if you ask me. Now we're going to get into the chapter entitled The Holy Instructions from the Prophet, Master, and Servant. And I picked one particular verse in ayat that stood out to me. You know what I'm saying? And it read, "Repine not, O man, at the state of servitude. It is the appointment of Allah, and he hath many advantages. It removeth thee from cares and solicitudes in life." And me, I do encourage you to study. So if you don't have this book, we will freely, you know what I'm saying, and gladly offer it to you at mypdfbooks.com, or you can hit us up on our Instagram, BurningBushTabernacle.ts. Now continuing to the chapter titled Magistrate and Subject. O thou, the favorite of heaven, whom the sons of men, thy equals, have agreed to raise to sovereign power, and set as a ruler over themselves, consider the ends and importance of their trust, facts more than the dignity and the height of thy station. Thou art clothed in purple and seated on a throne. The crown of majesty invests thy temples. The scepter of power is placed in thy hand, but not for thyself were these signs given, not meant for thine own, but for the good of thy kingdom. The glory of a king is the welfare of his people. His power and dominions rest in the hearts of his subjects. The mind of a great prince is exalted with the grandeur of his situation. He evolveth high things and searches for businesses worth his power. He calleth together the wise men of his kingdom. He consoleth among them with freedom, and heareth the opinions of them all. He looketh among his people with discernment. He discovers the abilities of men, and employeth them according to their merits. His magistrates are just, his ministers are wise, and the favorites of his bosom deceiveth him not. He smileth on the arts, and they flourish. The sciences improve beneath the culture of his hand. With the learned and ingenious, he delighteth himself. He kindleth in their breast emulation, and the glory of his kingdom is exalted by their labors. The spirit of the merchant who extendeth his commerce, the skill of the farmer who enricheth his lands, the ingenuity of the artist, the improvements of the scholar, all these haunt with his favor and rewarded with his bounty. He planted new colonies. He builds strong ships. He opens rivers for convenience. He forms harbors for safety. His people abound in riches, and the strength of his kingdom increases. He frames his statutes with equity and wisdom. His subjects enjoy the fruits of their labor. In security and their happiness consists of the observance of the law. He founded his judgments on the principles of mercy, but in the punishments of offenders, he is strict and impartial. Now his ears are open to the complaints of his subjects. He restrains the hands of their oppressors, and he delivereth them from their tyranny. His people, therefore, look up to him as a father with reverence and love. They consider him as a guardian of all they enjoy. Their affection unto him begetteth in his breast a love of the public, the security Their security, happiness is the object of his care. No murmurs against him arise in their hearts. The machinations of his enemies endanger not the state. His subjects are faithful and firm in his cause. They stand in his defense as a wall of brass. The army of the tyrant fly before them as chaff before the wind. Security and peace dwell. Security and peace bless the dwelling of his people, and glory and strength encircles his throne forever. The next chapter we have is the holy instruction from the prophet, the social duties. And it reads, when thou considerest thy wants, when thou beholdest thy imperfections, acknowledge his goodness, O son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations, protection from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All these thou owest to the assistance of others, and could not enjoy but in the bands of society. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is in thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. As the rose breatheth sweetness from its own nature, so the heart of a benevolent man produceth good works. He enjoyeth the ease and tranquility of his own breast, and rejoiceth in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. He openeth not his ears unto slander. The faults of the failing of men give him a pain to his heart. He desires, his desires is to do good, and he researcheth out the occasions therefore, in removing the oppressions of another and relieving himself. From the largeness of his mind, he comprehended in his wishes the happiness of all men, and from the generosity of his heart, he endeavored to promote it. And we also have here the holy instructions from the prophet, charity. And we all could do and use a little more charity. Happy is the man who had sown in his breast the seeds of benevolence. The produce thereof shall be charity and love. From the fountain of his heart shall rise rivers of goodness, and the streams shall overflow. For the benefit of mankind, he assisteth the poor in their trouble. He rejoiced in furthering the prosperity of all men. He censures not his neighbor. He believeth not the tales of the envy and malevolence. Neither he repeats their slanders. He forgiveth the injuries of men. He wipeth them from his remembrance. Revenge and malice have no place in his heart. For evil returneth not evil. He hateth not even his enemies, but requiteth their injustice with a friendly admonition. The griefs and anxieties of men excite his compassion. He endeavoreth to alleviate the weight of their misfortunes, and the pleasures of success rewardeth his labor. He calmeth the fury, he healeth the quarrels of angry men, he preventeth the mischiefs of strife and animosity. He promoteth in his neighborhood peace and goodwill, and his name is repeated by the praise, with praise and benedictions. And we also have here the holy instructions from the prophet, gratitude, and we all could show and use a little more gratitude. As the branches of the tree return their sap to the root from whence it arose, as a river poureth its streams to the sea, whence the springs were supplied. So the heart of a grateful man delighteth in returning a benefit received. He acknowledges his obligation with cheerfulness. He looketh at his benefactor with love and esteem. And if to return it be not in his power, he nourishes the memory of it in his breast with kindness, and he forgetteth it not all the days of his life. The heart of a grateful man is like a cloud of heaven which drops upon the earth fruits, herbage, and flowers. But the heart of an ungrateful is like a desert of sand which swalloweth with greediness the showers that fall, and burieth them in its bosom, producing nothing. Envy not thy benefactor, neither strive to conceal the benefit he hath conferred. Come on. For though to oblige is better to be obliged, though the act of generosity commandeth admiration, yet the humility toucheth the heart, and is amiable in the sight of both Allah, which is God, and man. Come on. But receive not a favor from the hand of the proud to the selfish, and the avarice have no obligation. The vanity of pride shall expose thee to shame. The greediness of avarice shall never be satisfied. And that, my brothers and sisters, does conclude our reading dealing with community, economics, and social duties as prescribed by the Holy Quran. But as I mentioned earlier, we do have a feature presentation waiting for you. So let's get that underway.
Moors are industrialists. We study all law. When I tell brothers and sisters, there's nothing to argue about if you are the solution, and if you understand that you are a business and you understand commerce.
Here at Wall Street, Willie, what is an economy? An economy is a collection of all the goods and services produced, consumed, and distributed in a specific area, such as a country, state, or city. For example, the U.S. economy includes goods and services that are produced, imported, distributed, or used by the people living in the U.S., American companies, or the U.S. government. Goods are physical things like cars, furniture, clothing, food, etc. Services include value provided using skill or time, like teaching, firefighting, house cleaning, medical care, etc. Both goods and services are provided in exchange for money. Are there different types of economies? There are three main types of economies. Market or market-based economies use the free market, where businesses and people can buy and sell goods and services at prices determined by supply and demand, without interference from the government. Command or command-based economies, also called socialist economies, are where the government controls the production, pricing, and distribution of goods and services. Supply and demand don't play a role, and the government owns everything, not individuals or companies. Mixed economies are a middle ground between market and command-based economies. There is a free market system, but the government creates rules and regulations that influence the economy. The vast majority of economies today are mixed economies.
What makes an economy grow? It seems that most people have the notion that the inner workings of an economy are impossibly complicated, too difficult for the average person to understand. Well, while it is true that an economy is complex in terms of how many different things are simultaneously interacting in it, the economic principles that apply to those interactions are actually pretty easy to understand. Let's start with a simple economy. Suppose there's a village of 5 people. A butcher, a cutler, a stonemason, a blacksmith, and a miner. And suppose the butcher starts with $100 and the other 4 are flat broke. Well, one day as he's trimming some meat, the butcher notices his knives are starting to dull and wear out. And he asks the cutler to make him a new set for his $100. The cutler agrees and starts working. As the cutler is sharpening the blades, he notices his grindstone is starting to crack, and so he asks the stonemason to make him a new one for the $100. And he gives it to the stonemason, and the stonemason agrees and gets to work. As he's chiseling away, he realizes he could use a new chisel. So the blacksmith offers to make him one for $100. Now, before the blacksmith can get to work on the chisel, he has to refill his supply of iron ore. So he asks the miner to get him another ton for the $100. Now, the miner works all day, and in the evening he decides he could use a good meal after his long day of hard work. So he drops the iron ore off at the blacksmith's, and then swings by the butcher where he buys $100 worth of steak. Now, the blacksmith then makes the chisel for the mason. The mason finishes making the stone for the cutler, who finishes making the knives for the butcher. Now notice, the $100 is back in the hands of the butcher, and everyone else, again, has no cash. Now, on the surface, it would appear that the economy is exactly the size that it was. After all, there's still only $100 cash in it. But the butcher has a new set of knives. The cutler, a new grindstone. The mason, a new chisel. The blacksmith has the remainder of the ore, and the miner has some delicious steaks. So, while the total number of physical dollars has remained the same, the economy has grown in value. See, true economic growth only comes when value is added to the economy. Growth does not come from simply putting more money into it. Suppose, for example, that everyone suddenly received a big pile of money. Pretty soon, no one would want money as much because everyone has plenty of it. Inevitably, people would have to offer more money to trade. And at that point, prices and wages have both risen together. Only the numbers will have changed. The actual value has not. See, the only reason we use money is for its convenience. You may not want what the other guy offers, so he pays you in money. And we use that money as sort of an IOU passed from person to person. You'll pass it on to the next guy whenever you find something you do want. In fact, you can feasibly envision an economy where there is no actual currency, where people simply trade product for product. An economy such as this would still be able to grow, despite there being no currency in it, because it's the value from the trade that grows it. After all, this economy didn't grow from the money being passed around, it grew from the products that people created. It grew when the cutler made the knives for the butcher. It grew when the mason made the stone for the cutler. It grew when the blacksmith made a chisel for the mason. It grew when the miner dug up the ore for the blacksmith. And finally, it grew when the butcher made the delicious steaks for the miner. Now, because this trading of products and services is what grows an economy, the way to improve an economy is to have more avenues of trade opened up, rather than to be restricted to what politicians and bureaucrats believe is best for you. It's not complicated. The easier it is to employ someone, the more employment there's going to be, and hence the more economic growth there's going to be. And it's important to note that even though all politicians sincerely claim to know what's best for us and to have our best interests at heart, many of them are only thinking of themselves.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you an example of what I'm talking about. I know that many people don't understand it. Let me some wisdom. Look here. You should, just even working a minimum wage job, you should be able to save enough money in a year period of time to be able to buy a quarter acre of land. Now watch this. Suppose you had people of like mind, and all of you are in one accord, and you may not all live on the same land, okay, but you want to live in the same close proximity to each other simply because they're just good people to live around. So what you do is you create your own little communities when you have your own little homestead and your own homes. Now, you'll grow some. You won't be as strong as a community like a straightway, but you will grow. So what you ought to do is pretty simple. Oh, there it is. You can tell them in the city. But what you ought to do is each one of you should pick a particular produce. Man, ambulance is coming and going both sides. You ought to get a particular produce. This is what you should do. Get a particular produce that you're going to grow. And some of you get particular livestock you're going to grow. You know, do you know what you can do? Not only, watch this, not only whenever there's a disaster or the system is being crippled or something like that, you can become so much self-sufficient and you could actually probably live a quality life and a healthy life. But if you get enough people together to be able to do that, look at what you've just created for yourself. And then, you know, if you chip in to help each other out to build the homes, you could be debt-free, no mortgage, no nothing. See what I mean? And that's not even living, not even living on a community. I think, because I do think it's better to live on a community, but you see what I'm talking about. And if you choose to, you can co-op with some people and sell your produce retail to other people who see your lifestyle and want to be part of it. Amish do it all the time. You could probably make a living off of it. You get a greenhouse and just grow nothing but tomatoes that you can and make salsa. I mean, the sky's the limit. The bottom line is not dependent upon the system that they've given you and having you to trust in these trucks running back and forth to these stores. Because you think about it, you're in a bind if you live in these cities. And I've been in New York. You ain't getting out of this city if something bad happens. It ain't happening. You're going to suffer. Just take my advice. Consider what I say. I just gave you some very serious wisdom.
There's no sound to this footage, so just take a look.
If only we had camera phones back then. Yeah. You know, and a lot of the conversations that happen now surrounding this idea of keeping Black dollars within the Black community, you know, this is a prime example of how we had a thriving community that was doing just that and how it was destroyed. And 100 years on has not been replaced in any meaningful way, right?
Just how wealthy was Black Wall Street? Well, today we're going to find out. The stories of Greenwood's prosperity became legend in the Black community, and in fact, in the whole world. The creation of the powerful Black community known as Black Wall Street was intentional. In 1906, O.W. Gurley, a wealthy African-American from Arkansas, moved to Tulsa and purchased over 40 acres of land that he made sure was only sold to other African-Americans. The young entrepreneur had just resigned from a presidential appointment under President Grover Cleveland in order to strike out on his own. Mr. Gurley became a multi-billionaire, and he was the owner of several businesses, including his prized possession. He also provided an opportunity for those who migrated from the harsh oppression of Mississippi. Another important visionary who contributed to the success of Black Wall Street was Mr. J.B. Stratford. J.B. Stratford had graduated from Indiana University with a law degree and had moved to Greenwood to purchase various land vacancies in the area. After buying these vacant spaces, he would then sell them to African-American residents for redevelopment so that these empty spaces could be transformed into residential houses and profitable businesses. By 1921, Mr. Stratford had been considered one of the wealthiest in the country, as he owned numerous properties in Greenwood and even had his hotel named after him, the Stratford Hotel. O.W. was a subscriber to the philosophies of Booker T. Washington, while J.B. was a follower of the more radical W.E.B. Du Bois. Nonetheless, differences aside, the two men began to develop an all-Black district in the unincorporated stretch of land north of Tulsa's train station. O.W. and J.B. both became rich as the oil industry boomed in Tulsa, and hundreds of African Americans immigrated to Greenwood. The 40 acres that were purchased resulted in a thriving community that populated a 35-square-block district. There were over 600 businesses, and on Black Wall Street were attorneys, real estate agents, dentists, pilots, architects, musicians and singers, entrepreneurs, doctors, pharmacists, dry cleaners, plumbers, barbers, hairdressers, professors and teachers, nurses, bankers, newspaper editors, among many other professions who offered their services in the neighborhood. A dollar circulated 36 to 100 times, and it remained in the Greenwood district almost a year before leaving. To this day, no other community has been able to duplicate that type of circulation. There are communities today, however, where the dollar stays in about 30 days, 45 days, but no other community, as has been said, has ever been able to match that type of circulation. Although it wasn't the only one, there were prominent Black business districts in Durham, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, and Rosewood, Florida. The people of Greenwood achieved a level of Black economic success and self-determination that had never existed before in the United States. Less than 60 years removed from slavery, to put that in perspective. Despite racial discrimination and Jim Crow segregation, the Greenwood district offered proof that Black entrepreneurs were capable of creating abundant wealth. When left alone, our ancestors thrived. And one such example is this. In the entire state of Oklahoma, there were only 2 airports. Yet 6 Black families owned their own private planes in the district of Black Wall Street. Wow, imagine that. Folks, think about that for a second. There were 2 airports in the entire state of Oklahoma, yet 6 families own private planes. What an accomplishment. Many of the homes had indoor plumbing before those in the white area did. Booker T. Washington actually coined it Negro Wall Street. It was also known at that time as Little Africa. What made Black Wall Street truly special is that it was a place an ordinary person can go, such as a sharecropper, and have a respectable life, find decent paying work, and hope for a better life for his or her children. With oil men relocating to Tulsa, the resulting high demand for domestics enabled Blacks to attain unheard of wages. Maids earned $20 to $25 a week. Chauffeurs earned $15. Gardeners earned $20. Janitors, shoe shiners, and porters earned around $10. Domestics made up almost two-thirds of Greenwood's population, the remainder being professionals and business owners, whom the maids and chauffeurs hoped their children could imitate. As you can see, Black Wall Street was very low. Keep in mind, the domestics spoken of were actually blacks working for other blacks. The average income of black families in the area exceeded what the minimum wage is today. These were people who were actually living in the lap of luxury. Black Wall Street was its own city. It was a booming self-contained community, and many of the residents lived in luxury. Greenwood Avenue had been lined with hotels, restaurants, furriers, and even an early taxi service using a Ford Model T. For that time, that would be like driving a modern-day Bentley. This is actually a picture of the Stratford Hotel, owned by Mr. J.B. Stratford. And he is a great example of excellence and abundance in the early 1900s. As stated earlier, he was a multi-millionaire. In addition to Mr. Stratford and Mr. Gurley, the district's most successful entrepreneurs reinvested in the community, building parks, schools, churches, theaters, banks, and they had access to many luxuries that whites in the same city did not. As a matter of fact, white people routinely borrowed money from black banks, and this was even done during the Great Depression. Here's a picture of bank owners and employees taking a picture in front of one of the black-owned banks. Here's the picture of one of the theaters that lined the Greenwood district. During that time, while showing the silent movies, they would have a live piano player playing alongside the movie, which was the custom of the day. So you see, Black Wall Street had all of the modern day conveniences and luxuries. They were a community that really wanted for nothing. The schools were superior to those of the white areas. When the average student went to school on Black Wall Street, he wore a suit and tie because of the morals and respect they were taught at a young age. Black Wall Street contained a business college. As a matter of fact, the children of Greenwood's professionals attended Columbia Law School, Oberlin College, Hampton University, Tuskegee Institute, Spelman College, and Urbana University. Black Wall Street was a dream in progress and a symbol of black success. Just how wealthy was Black Wall Street? The truth is, we'll really never know. But based on the facts, we can confidently say that today's worth will be well into the billions. And just think, that was a self-contained community that was just developing. There is no telling where it would be today. Although Greenswood, Tulsa, Oklahoma may be a distant memory, fortunately for us, we can still keep the Black Wall Street spirit alive today. With the Black Wall Street app, we now have access to thousands of black-owned businesses in the palm of your hand, desktop, or tablet.
It's from an old Greek word. Household management, that's budgeting, do you ken?
Budgeting?
Aye, financial discipline. Let's say your income is like a pie. There's a piece for everything you buy. Cut portions wisely. Don't be unnerved, or it will all be gone before everyone is served. You have to pay the rent.
And you have to buy clothes, the grocery bills, you have to pay those.
You can see at once where your money all goes when you plan the budget. The first of every month, the installments fall due. The note on the car, the TV set too. You'll be better off when you finally get through working out the budget.
Big, blue, and white bills all over the place.
The power and directly in the face. Payments cut in half, or you wanna be fair. You send a bit here, you send a bit there. Now you realize that you're getting somewhere. Balancing the budget.
Oh, lads, we've been somewhat lax. We forgot the piece for the income tax.
Income tax?
Aye, though taxes are a pain in the whatchamacallit, this right here, the wallet, taxes are the funds governments must get to run their households and keep out of debt.
They must have a budget too.
Aye, that they do. That they do.
23 years of donations to your parish, and this is what this guy sees hanging over me?
You should have never gone to a psychic. It's divination. It's the devil. They're completely unsanctioned by the church. Psychics are heretics and thieves who practice witchcraft. There's no validity to anything he told you. Your problem's a spiritual matter.
Maybe. But irregardless, I should have had immunity to all of this shit. I should have been covered by my donations. When the organ needed a rejob, who was there? When the priests and the altar boys needed new weights, who picked up the tab?
You should have come to me first, and none of this would have happened. But don't worry, Paul. I'm here. I can help you.
It's too late. You've been slacking off on me, and you left me unprotected.
You see, the government provides through the taxes we pay our bridges and schools and places to play.
Builds the county road or the modern highway. Called for in the budget. Departments of police and of water and fire. The various courts, the juries they hire. Aeroplanes and ships and the care they require. All are in the budget. No one relaxes when tax deadlines fall. But without our taxes, we would have no government at all. In budgeting a home and the government too, it really should show a profit to you. Something should be left when the payments are through. When you plan the budget,
Always remember to save a slice for yourself.
when you plan the budget.
After all, it's your pie. And that's how I became rich, making the little slices grow. Money shouldn't be idle and must be put to work, you know.
Oh, yeah? How about all that idle dough you got stashed away?
Oh, no, lads. This is just petty cash. Moves in and out each day. If I sat on my money, I might just as well be stranded on a desert island for all the good it would do me. I couldn't eat it, couldn't wear it, couldn't use it. Oh, I can't bear it. Money should never stagnate, but like ocean currents, circulate. Like the ocean currents control the world's weather, you see, circulating money controls the economy. Money must keep moving to fulfill its obligation.
And if you squeeze it too tight, you'll stop its circulation.
Hey, that's a funny one. And how true.
We don't want that to happen to our money. We want our piggy bank to grow.
That's why when I tell brothers and sisters, we wear our own brand. We have our own hats, coats. You see it on the arm, that's my family crest.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Peace, peace, peace. So, hope you all have enjoyed this evening of education and entertainment. You know what I'm saying? So, and once again, excuse me, Brian Hixby of the Burning Witch Tabernacle Scientific School, Divine Minister, Noble Mufti. And without further ado, we will end with our Moorish American prayer. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Shalom Aleichem, Ayah Ash'ai, Hotep, Islam, Amen. Peace, 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 peace.
mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z.
It's nothing short of a miracle. I used to just want to get rid of fuck. The portrait, but this is the perfect picture. I see myself.